Hi, welcome back to day 3 of the KPT movement series. I'm K Parker Therapy, and today we're going to be doing ankle mobility and a bit of ankle strengthening as well. So the first thing we're going to need to do is actually assess the range that we have in our ankles. So if we get a wall, we're going to do the knee to wall assessment. So we're going to stand next to the wall and we're going to actually put our foot against the wall here, and then we're going to lean into it. So this should be relatively easy. So what we're going to need to do is move our foot back and then find our new range. So what we don't want is we don't want our ankle to raise, our heel to raise, to try and get to the wall like this. We're going to want to get right to the optimal point where we have no strain and no overcompensation. And we also don't want our knee to track over any other toe but the third toe. And that's our assessment. So finally, what you would need to do once you find that range, you need to measure the gap between your toe and the wall. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some soft tissue release on the gastrocnemius, soleus, and a bit of the tibialis anterior. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a ball like this one, and we're going to place that literally underneath our calf muscle or our gastroc. And we're going to go across the fibres like so. So what we want to make sure is we want to make sure that our foot is in dorsiflexion, so our foot is pointed back towards us, because this lengthens the gastroc. And we're going to literally go across the fibres, a little bit painful. If you want to add more pressure, put one foot on top of the other, which I will not be doing. So we're going to literally go like this for a few moments, and then we're going to relocate and go slightly lower and do that again. Good. And again, relocate. You don't want to go too close to the Achilles tendon though. So we're going to go back to the top, and now we're going to keep the ball in the same place, and we're literally going to have an overpressure with our other foot like so, and we're going to point and stretch, point and dorsiflex, plantarflex, dorsiflex the ankle. So now we're doing a static myofascial release of the calf muscle. Point and flex. Our feet move in this motion all day, every day. So in order to release it, we need to release it with movement. So this is an active myofascial release. And again, you would just relocate, over pressure here, and continue. Do that a couple times, and last time again, just a bit lower down. So we have 2 techniques there for you. One that goes across the muscle fibers and myofascial release, static myofascial release. So make sure that you do that on both sides. So we'll do that. And again, foot in dorsiflexion. I'm going to go across the fibers. Good. Relocate, a little lower. Nice. And again, lower, but just avoiding the Achilles. You want to go too low. You can relocate to the side as well. You might want to turn your foot out. And then our static but active release. Ow, sorry. Okay, something's hurting here. And relocate. Ow, sorry. This leg is very tight. And down again. See? It's fun. The next technique I have for you is releasing the tibialis anterior, which is this muscle here. This muscle gives us this action, which is something that we do regularly when we're walking, sitting, standing, bending down to pick up something, and we want to increase our range of motion like we did in the knee to wall assessment at the start. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the ball and we're going to just place that just under our leg here. Some of you might not even need an over pressure, but sit in a position that's comfortable for you. And then I'm just going to lean forward a little bit onto that here. And then I'm going to apply this walking motion, so plantar flexion, dorsiflexion action here on that tibialis anterior muscle. And again, we're doing an active myofascial release. And then you would just relocate a little lower and do that again. If you want to add more pressure, come up onto all fours if you need and do like so. And feel free to move up and down the shin to get some extra release. You can do this with your foot pointed to really get into those muscle fibers. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stretch our gastroc and our soleus. Now, disclaimer, my soleus is extremely tight, so you're not going to probably see much difference. However, to stretch the gastroc, you need to keep your knee straight when you're stretching the calf. If you want to target your soleus, you need to bend at the knee. So I'll demonstrate that now. I'm going to go into a downward facing dog type position. Okay, like so. You might have commonly seen people stretch their calves in this way. So, targeting this leg now, my leg is straight, which means I'm targeting my gastroc. If I bend, that is now me targeting my soleus. Straight, gastroc, bend, soleus. So what we would do here in this position is just alternate each side and just work. There's no real ideal sets and reps for this because, as I said, recovery should not be rushed and it's at your own discretion. And just alternate and make sure you breathe. So the next exercise or stretch that we're going to do now is we're going to work on our dorsiflexion. So what we're going to need to do is sit in this position and we're going to kind of lean and put our body weight on the tops of our thighs here. And we're going to have one hand to either side and we're just going to lean in to this position here. If I move my hand away, you should get a better see. I'm going to lean. And you can see this range that I'm creating here. I'm just going to hold for about 5 seconds. And make sure we're breathing and staying in line of that third toe and coming back up. Up again. So I'm going to say do 5 seconds hold and then a couple seconds off for 5 reps. So 5 on for 5 reps. Good. If you want to get your balance, feel free to hug your knee instead. I'm just going to swap sides. my foot back to get a bit more range. There we go. Stay in dorsiflexion and then just go one motion, so out like this. You can point down and go out. And again around in circles and relax. Up, out, and we're going to go again, out and round. Good. And the other way. You should be able to feel it up here. If you're not feeling it higher up, then you're not actively contracting. Pointing down and up. Good. And finally, dorsiflexion and out. relax. One of the last things that we're going to do now is we're actually going to use the ball on the plantar fascia. So that is this muscle here underneath the foot. So we've addressed everything above the ankle, but let's not forget below the ankle. So some of you have probably done this before. We're going to press down on the plantar fascia, and at first, keeping our hand on the floor, we're just going to go up and down with our toes. Just in. Fibers. We've been doing a lot. People have been working out from home. We've got key workers that are still working. We've been doing a lot more walking now instead of driving. Riding the bikes. Finally, here on the floor. After having done those, why don't you go back to the wall and reassess your range and see if those ankle mobility with slight strengthening tips have given you any improvement since we've started. Thank you for participating in the ankle mobility day 3, and tomorrow we have day 4 with hip mobility, which is my favorite. So I'll see you then.